My name is Susan Windley-Daoust, and I'm the Director of Missionary Discipleship for the Diocese of Winona-Rochester. And you may have heard that our Bishop, Bishop Robert Barron, has asked everybody in the diocese to, as an evangelical act, invite and bring one family to church in the next year. And it would be an incredible thing if we all took that seriously and did it. Our parishes would look different, but more importantly, it would make such a big difference in the lives of the people that we invite. So let's go ahead and talk about how you can do that, because I know that the thing that holds people back is they say it's going to feel awkward. I don't even know where to start. We're going to do a quick 10-minute presentation that's going to make you confident to go ahead and offer that invitation, and how to do it and when to do it and how to follow up. So let's get started. First, are you thinking about inviting someone to Mass, or are you thinking about inviting somebody to consider Christ? There really are two groups of people here, no matter who you know. There's the whole group of people who are not practicing Catholics, right? Or other Christians. So begin with people that you used to see at Mass and you haven't in a while. Maybe they haven't returned since the pandemic. Maybe there are other things going on. You may not know the reason why they're not attending, but often people will drift away and say, nobody noticed that I left, right? You could be the person who notices and invites that person back. You could also consider people who are raised or baptized Catholic and don't attend. Invite them to Mass. You can consider people who are family members who don't live in town, and you don't know whether they are participating in the Mass or not where they live, but you can go ahead and invite them too. And certainly people who have expressed curiosity about Catholicism already, and these would be other Christians, you can absolutely invite them to come to Mass with you. For them, it'll be a come and see experience, right? Because Mass is really meant for those who are fully initiated in the Catholic faith. You don't participate in the Eucharist until you've actually gone through the preparation and received First Eucharist. But there is nothing wrong with anybody coming to a Catholic Mass and praying with us. In fact, that is a great good. So you can certainly encourage that and invite them to come and pray with you at Mass. Then there are other people that are often called the nuns, but these would be people in particular who have no religious background in addition to practice. Mass may not be the first thing you want to invite them to. You may want to invite them first to a conversation or something else that's going on at your church. But they do deserve an invitation and will often respond to it because they're usually curious and not hostile about the faith. They want to know what makes you tick. Who do you invite? Well, obviously, people who are close to you. That's kind of easy, right? At least easy to think about. Family that's visiting, friends, but you're probably connected to more people than you think. There's this thing called a Frankie list, and Frankie is an acronym for friends, relatives, acquaintances, kids' friends' parents, and internet connections. If you took 15 minutes and just brainstormed all the people under each one of those categories, you're going to realize you're a lot more connected than you think. And these may be people who would respond to an invitation to consider Christ and come to Mass with you. You might want to pray over that list and think a little bit about, who is it that would be the best first person to invite back? Ask the Lord. When to invite? Okay, obviously we have Christmas coming up, Easter's around the corner. These major festivals are great times to invite people because they're often thinking a little bit about attending a Mass or a service, either back or for the first time, but really any time is a good time to invite. The issue is more how you're going to invite. Are you going to do it when it just happens to come up in conversation, or are you going to create a more formal invitation? So let's talk about the people that would be perhaps returning to Mass, people that you used to see at your church but you haven't seen there in a while. Absolutely, you can do this in a very informal way. You run into them in the store and you talk about your plans for the weekend, and it's like, well, I'm going to Mass at 10. Hey, you want to come with me? Right? That kind of gets the question right there on the table. But it may be even better if you made it a bit more formal. If you're going to invite someone, make it deliberate and make it an event that goes beyond the Mass. Invite them to come to Mass with you, a family, a person, a couple, but also add something to it, like a meal, brunch or a barbecue at your house afterward, or an event like watching the Vikings. If it's Easter, you have an egg hunt, maybe something with the kids all around, you're going to go to the park. If they are friends with you, they're very likely to be attracted to the idea of being able to spend some time, your families together on a Sunday. And even if they're a little ambivalent about Mass, they're not sure how they feel about that, they probably feel pretty good about having a meal with you. So the chances of them coming to Mass with you for the entire day of events really improves. Now, if you're focusing on someone who is considering Christ, that is somebody who really has no Christian background at all, it might be best to begin with a conversation, and that could be very informal. If you know the person at all, invite that person out for coffee or beer to swap what I call faith thoughts. And that's not quite as crazy as it sounds. It could actually be pretty natural. If you're friends with this person, you could just say, hey, look, I like thinking about the deep things sometimes, and I kind of want to know more what makes you tick and how you think the world works. Why are we here and things like that. And I'd be happy sharing where I come from on that. And I think it would be a lot of fun, but I really need caffeine in order to have this conversation well. Would you like to do that sometime? And there's probably a better way to say it than that, but you get the idea, right? Just plan a big ideas talk around coffee, beer, or a meal and invite that person to that. It's possible that your parish actually has something that you could invite somebody who is not Christian to. I mean, yes, there's RCIA, but that is usually for people who have made a decision that they really want to know more. You don't want to assume this person necessarily wants to know more right away. You can invite them to something that's a little simpler than that, like a fun parish event, like a fall festival, or it's even better if they're running Alpha or something similar to that, where you have big conversations about Christian themes, but it's really wrapped into a meal and good hospitality and fun. Or maybe your parish has a movie night. You could even invite the person to come to adoration of the Blessed Sacrament with you. Lots of Catholics tend to think that that is a deep end type of event, and it certainly can be a very deep experience, but you don't need to be initiated in the Christian faith or even have any sense that Jesus Christ is Lord in order to be present before the Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. And big things can happen there. You could ask the person, it's like, my life's been crazy and I need some genuine big time peace and quiet and a place to really get centered in who I am before God. And maybe you might want to come with me. Would you like to try this out? Okay, people worry about the responses they're going to get to the invitation. So I'm going to give you some responses and ways to respond to them. Yes? Let's not forget that people may say yes, right? That's the whole point. If that's the case, they say, yes, I'd like to do that. You respond, great. Want me to pick you up? Make it as easy for them to get there as possible. Now, if they say no, capital N, capital O, no, you have two options. First off, you can backpedal a little bit and just say, okay, just thought I'd ask. It's an open invitation. Or, if it's possible, you can lean into that no a little bit and say, oh, well, I didn't mean to offend. Did I say something wrong? You probably didn't say something wrong, right? You're not really apologizing here. You're trying to give the person space to explain why they offered such a strong no. And that can be very illuminating to you. Some of those things that happen behind the big no is that somebody will say, well, I was really hurt by the church when I was a kid or even last year. Okay, no matter what the circumstances are, even if they sound not entirely clear to you, the response is, I'm sorry, right? On behalf of the good people in the church, I am sorry that that happened to you. Or if somebody says, I don't believe that stuff anymore, okay, you could push back a little more on that and say, oh, well, do you want to elaborate? What is it that you don't believe in anymore? And if they don't want to talk about it, they'll let you know. But usually they'll offer something, and then you have something to talk about. If they are upset and pushing away, usually the best move is to sympathize and share that their experience isn't your experience of the church. Or maybe something is your experience. Maybe you've been hurt by the church too, but you choose to stay. Usually you begin with experiences before debates because you're trying to win a soul and not an argument. Someone may respond, I don't know. Well, just be quiet and let them finish the sentence. If they don't continue, ask them, what do you not know about? Sometimes they just need time to think about why they're hesitant. This is one that's easy. If they say, I wouldn't know what to do, all you have to do is say you don't really have to do anything other than sit and be respectful, but if I come with you, I can help. I can tell you when to sit, stand, kneel, all of that. And the saddest response is when people say, I just can't go back. Never leave that one hanging. The best response is a kind, why do you think that? Right? And then try to encourage further discussion. This is a situation, though, where you may need to connect this person with somebody who can deal with what's behind that statement. Maybe it's a matter of sin. Maybe it's something that happened to them within a church. Maybe it's a matter of an irregular marriage. Often people can be very confused about the fact that they can't go back. They often can go back, but they don't know that. But it's important to get the right person talking to that particular friend. Whatever you do, you've got to follow up, people. If it goes well, by all means, just say, let's do this again, and make a time and a date. If it goes okay, ask them to talk about it a little bit. Help them to process it. Did anything surprise you? Sometimes when I visit other churches, I have questions. Do you have any? And if it was an event that you brought them to or a conversation, just ask them if they want to do it again. Okay is not bad. They're probably just processing and thinking about what just happened here. If it goes poorly, don't beat yourself up at all. Pray for that person and keep the lines of general communication open. You stay friends and you be family and you be good work colleagues, because being a friend for friendship's sake is always important in and of itself. So Bishop Barron has handed us a challenge to invite a family or a person or a couple to come with you and bring that person to Mass in the next year. I'm going to encourage you to do the same, but I'm going to make it a little easier for you. Yes, you're still bringing a person to Mass, but connect with somebody that you know already at your church and make that person a little bit of an accountability partner. Or if that scares you, just make it a game. Just say, it's like, look, Bishop Barron wants every one of us to bring a new family to Mass sometime this year. It's like, I'm game. Are you? It's like, so we could check in with each other to see that we've actually invited somebody to do this. Let's say, let's do this in the next, 2 weeks, okay? And then check in. That actually makes it easier. It's always easier to do this with friends. Just remember, you will never start comfortable with inviting people, but you will get a lot more comfortable as you do it. And the impact could be enormous for the people that you invite. Don't underestimate the power of an invitation. It's the only way that you do evangelization, that you share the gospel, is that you invite people to come and see. So thank you for listening to this. Good luck inviting, and God bless.